believe David has crossed the Jordan on his way back to Jerusalem to the throne. He's being escorted by his tribe, the tribe of Judah. But the men of Israel, 10 tribes in all, don't like the fact that the men of Judah got the honor of escorting the king. We left off as the bickering escalated. Let's see what happens. I'm in 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 1, reading from the New American Standard Version. Now, a worthless fellow happened to be there whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite. And he blew the trumpet and said, "We have no portion in David, nor do we have inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tents, O Israel." So all the men of Israel withdrew from following David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri. But the men of Judah remained steadfast to their king, from the Jordan even to Jerusalem. So this fellow Sheba sees the rising dissension, and he also sees an opportunity to break with the king. Clearly, he's not a supporter of the king, and he must have considerable influence to get 10 tribes to stop following King David and follow him. So the argument went from we have 10 parts in David to we have no portion in David, and they are gone. David is left with the men of Judah. Continuing verse 3, then David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, the concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and placed them under guard, and provided them with sustenance, but did not go into them. So they were shut up until the day of their death, living as widows. These are the women whom Absalom went into on the roof. Then the king said to Amasa, "Call out the men of Judah for me within 3 days, and be present here yourself." So Amasa went to call out the men of Judah, but he delayed longer than the set time which he had appointed him. And David said to Abishai, "Now Sheba, the son of Bichri, will do us more harm than Absalom. Take your Lord's servants and pursue him, so that he does not find for himself fortified cities and escape from our sight." So Joab's men went out after him, along with the Cherethites and the Pelethites and all the mighty men. And they went out from Jerusalem to pursue Sheba, the son of Bichri. So remember, in the last chapter, David made Amasa the commander of the army. He tells Amasa to muster the army within 3 days, but for whatever reason, he's not able to. But the matter is urgent. David needs this done, so he tells Abishai, Joab's brother, to do so. Joab, of course, had been the commander. That's why they're called Joab's men. David calls Abishai instead of Joab, probably because Joab directly defied his orders in killing his son Absalom. The mighty men are now on the hunt for Sheba. Continuing verse 8. When they were at the large stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa came to meet them. Now Joab was dressed in his military attire, and over it was a belt with a sword in its sheath fastened at his waist. And as he went forward, it fell out. Joab said to Amasa, "Is it well with you, my brother?" And Joab took Amasa by the beard with his right hand to kiss him. But Amasa was not on guard against the sword which was in Joab's hand. So he struck him in the belly with it, and poured out his inward parts on the ground, and did not strike him again, and he died. Then Joab and Abishai his brother pursued Sheba, the son of Bichri. Now there stood by him one of Joab's young men, and said, "Whoever favors Joab, and whoever is for David, let him follow Joab." But Amasa lay wallowing in his blood in the middle of the highway. And when the men saw that all the people stood still, he removed Amasa from the highway into the field, and threw a garment over him, when he saw that everyone who came by him stood still. As soon as he was removed from the highway, all the men passed on after Joab to pursue Sheba, the son of Bichri. Joab is a gangster, isn't he? Earlier in 2 Samuel, Abner, Saul's commander, killed his brother Asahel in a time of battle. While the parties were at peace with one another, Joab set up a meeting with Abner and killed him on the spot. He killed Absalom, the king's treacherous son, despite David's orders to spare him. Now he kills Amasa, the man David appointed to take Joab's place as commander. And Amasa, who is Joab's cousin, apparently doesn't know him too well, and he's not too sharp. He's a commander who shows up late to the game, and given the fact that he and Joab were just on opposite sides, and he just took Joab's position, he's not at all on guard against what's in Joab's hand. Joab is able to greet him and kill him. Abishai doesn't have a problem with it, of course. They move on to pursue Sheba. But nobody else moves while Amasa is wallowing in his blood in the middle of the highway. So his body is thrown into a field and covered, and they move on to pursue Sheba. Continuing verse 14. Now he went through all the tribes of Israel to Abel, then Beth-Makkah, and all the Berites. And they were gathered together and also went after him. They came and besieged him in Abel Beth-Makkah, and they cast up a siege ramp against the city, and it stood by the rampart. And all the people who were with Joab were wreaking destruction in order to topple the wall. Then a wise woman called from the city, "Hear, hear! Please tell Joab, come here that I may speak with you." So he approached her, and the woman said, "Are you Joab?" And he answered, "I am." Then she said to him, "Listen to the words of your maidservant." And he answered, "I am listening." Then she spoke, saying, "Formerly they used to say, 'They will surely ask advice at Abel.' And thus they ended the dispute. I am of those who are peaceable and faithful in Israel. You are seeking to destroy a city, even a mother in Israel. Why would you swallow up the inheritance of the Lord?" So Sheba is on the run, and he finds refuge in Abel Beth-Makkah. He's behind the wall of this fortified city, and Joab and his men say, "Okay, we'll just break the wall down." And you've got to love this woman. She goes straight for the man who appears to be in charge, Joab, and says, "Tell him to come here." We're told she is wise, and we see her wisdom. She introduces herself as one who is peaceable and faithful in Israel. And she appeals to him on behalf of the city. It's a city known for its wise counsel, and it's the inheritance of the Lord. The Lord gave them this land. So she says, "Why would you destroy it?" Look at Joab's reply, verse 20. Joab replied, Far be it from me that I should swallow up or destroy." We know how ruthless Joab can be. Even now he has shown up determined to do whatever it takes to get this Sheba. But this woman's words pierced him. No, that's not what I mean to do. Such is not the case. But a man from the hill country of Ephraim, Sheba, the son of Bichri by name, has lifted up his hand against King David. Only hand him over, and I will depart from the city. And the woman said to Joab, "Behold, his head will be thrown to you over the wall." Then the woman wisely came to all the people, and they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Bichri, and threw it to Joab. So he blew the trumpet, and they were dispersed from the city, each to his tent. Joab also returned to the king at Jerusalem. This woman does not play. Joab said, "Hand him over." She said, "We'll cut off his head." Sheba thought he had found refuge. That situation turned quickly. The city is spared, and Joab, who wasn't even put over this mission, gets a victory and returns to Jerusalem. Continuing verse 23, now Joab was over the whole army of Israel, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and Adoram was over the forced labor, and Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud was the recorder, and Sheva was scribe, and Zadok and Abiathar were priests, and Ira the Jairite was also a priest to David. Look who's back in charge. Joab is over the army of Israel once again. Certainly this was his goal when he murdered Amasa. David cannot check him. The king said, be gentle with Absalom. Joab killed him. The king put Amasa over his army. Joab killed him. David likely fears Joab's power. Remember, Joab said, if you don't go out there right now, there won't be a single man left. And David went. So now David allows him to return to his position as commander of the army. Later in 1 Kings, it's clear though that David does not forget what Joab has done. I want to go back to the woman in this chapter. The Bible calls her wise, and that's no small thing. And this kind of wisdom comes from above. If I had to guess, this woman was clinging to God. Much like Abigail, she is sent to intervene to prevent unwise behavior that goes against the will of God. Abigail needed courage to face David the way she did and turn him back. This woman is facing an army and a fierce commander, but God gives her a boldness and wise words that completely change the situation. In our own lives, prompted by the Spirit of God, there will be times when we need to be strong and courageous, to be proactive, speak up, bring the wisdom of God to bear on a situation. As we cling to God and His Word, we can trust that He will give us that wisdom. Though it may be hard, we can trust that He will give us grace and strength to do whatever He is calling us to do. What do we have to fear? The one to whom we cling has all power and authority. When you sense the prompting of His Spirit to act, to speak for His glory, cling and know that He is with you.